said that the students come from the same communities as our public school students, and they do.
They do.
They're the same children. They're not privileged. They're not rich. They're as well educated when they start 5th grade as every other student in 5th grade, and yet from 5th grade to 12th grade at GCP, 98% of them graduate.
Yes.
That class that started in 5th grade, 98%. That's, I didn't mean to get on my soapbox, but that's not a true.
Sir, could I they come from the same community, but not the same family. Let's
That's not
Yes,
true.
they do.
Well,
That's
no,
exactly.
they don't have the same mamas and dads. That's what I want to say.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
As a matter of fact, it's a lottery system. And anybody that wants their student to go to GCP, it doesn't matter if there's one parent, two parents, grandparents, the same problems that we have in the community are the same people that we have in GCP. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent there, but I took this down.
Well, what about the money though? What I was speaking about, when they go over there and they get put out, I have witness for that. And the money stays there and we take them back.
And they only get 70% of what your students in the public schools get, and they still manage to get better results. That's what we need to keep in mind.
Can we get one more minute of redirect on that?
Can we do what?
If we have time, can we get one more minute each of redirect on that?
Sure.
Because it's a very important discussion.
It's an important
If we have
subject.
time, okay?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm going to try to sit down this time. But folks, I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate, so I want you to understand when my voice gets a little loud, it's because I care about children. I don't think that anybody in this room can say you grew up any poorer than I did. But you know what else? You got to have some insight, and we cannot keep saying that we got to work with what we have. We've got to go outside of the box and figure out what else is out there. Does anybody in this room know anything about Workforce Development Board? Why aren't we getting more monies through that system to provide services for our children? We're talking about we can educate children. Once again, like I said, you don't know how to repair this building if you don't know what needs to be repaired. We have to have folks who can think on the level that we got to go to grassroots. How many children end up in the 4th and 5th grade with they have problems. They sat in the corner for all this time and nobody has done anything to make sure that we know what's going on with that child. Even the quietest child who has those behavior problems sometimes has some other problems that if we put them in resource. I'm a licensed professional counselor. Now I got to stand up. Give me just a second. In school, I told you we got to go back to grassroots. Somebody realized that Clinton Williams sitting in the corner didn't have what he needed. So they assessed me and found out I had a learning disability. If it wasn't for that and my great teachers like Helen Wilkins, who moved me through that system from K to 8th grade and then said, Clinton, we want you to go out there and try it on your own. If it wasn't for those kind of people thinking outside the box, getting me involved, figuring out what's going on, I don't think I'll be standing here, but I'm proud to say I'm an educated black man who owns his own business and is doing very well. Don't tell me that our children can't do it. I don't care what household they come from. What we've got to do is find out what we're working with. I have never been to taking my car to a mechanic and he just starts screwing stuff. They put a diagnostic and figure out what's wrong and then they know what to fix. And the problem with our education system right now is we're busy trying to fix stuff and we don't know what it is. We got to realize what problems we have. I'm in these schools every day. I'm already a board member. The only problem is I can't vote. I talk to the principals. Tell me this public school system, how many times one of your principals been in a counselor's office at 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon having a meeting because their child is not performing? This is the kind of stuff we got to do. Miss Woods and those teachers came and sat in my house and talked to my parents. But we want to do everything in the schools. And if we don't put them parents back involved, it ain't going to happen. I'm sorry, I need about 10 minutes to do this. You started this.
Thank you, sir. There rebut is for the charter school, as I understand it, is our opinion on that, as opposed to the students. Perhaps I'm not seeing things very clearly, but it does seem to me that the children are the same children. They may not biologically be from the same parents, obviously, but they are the same community with the same struggles and the same trials that each of us have in our own communities. And I think as a public school system, that there are other avenues to learn from other than our state board. And I think that that is very evident, is the fact that we have so many issues that we are so passionate about now. If we can learn those from a private school, if we can learn things from a charter school, then as educators, we should take advantage of that. Thank you.
Yes, I do agree that they are the same students from the same communities, but I believe that GCP has a better plan. They're executing their plan a lot better than we are in the public school system. I can recall when I was at Duke University, I believe his name is Mr. Dolan, that started at GCP. I was walking on campus and I saw him with about 3 or 4 students, and I said to myself, this man, he's up to something. These kids were about 10, 11 years old, but he was already showing them the bigger picture. He was letting them see what they could achieve, and he believed in it, and we need to believe in our students, and I believe that we put the effort, we can do it just as well as they are doing at GCP also.
I have no additional comment.
Okay.
I have another one. I want you to listen to what I want to say. Now, we talk about the charter school, we talk about the private school. I went to school down in the Christian school there and didn't have no private school, they had no charter school. I made it, other children, people made it, and I know some friends come along and they made it so also. So we're just bounding on charter school. At home, you get the training. If you train a child at home, and he knows that you mean business, trying, you can discipline him in the classroom, and you can go on and they can learn. I can't see the idea that everybody, people are saying, charter school, private school. Public school is the name of the game that you can educate children if you got some help at home. You got to have good teachers, good home training, and a good principal. And you can find that they get their education. That's the whole thing in a nutshell.
And I just want to say before Mr. Matthews gets up, is that charter schools are public schools.
All public schools.
Let's not forget that.
I don't
They
know
are,
what I'm saying.
they are public schools, they're not private schools, and they pull from the same areas and students that you all do. Mr. Matthews, anything further?
It's like any other topic. It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Right.
And any school needs to do whatever they need to do to educate the individual student that's in that school.
Sure. Mr. Walker?
I've heard both sides, and I can understand where Mr. Williams is coming from, because that's his job. I can come where Ms. Ingram is coming from, because your children are in KIPP.
No, my children are not in there. I have a son that's to our school.
Okay. But you can say they come from the same neighborhood. Yes, they do. I agree with that. But the difference is, when you sign a contract and you don't obey it, then you get put out. If you have a parent that's going to make you follow that contract, that's fine. But though you don't always have a parent that's going to make you follow that contract. You all are talking about one thing. You haven't been in there to see parents come out there and curse you out. You haven't been there to see that child say, you don't know who my mama is. She'll come out here and she'll walk. I won't even say. You haven't been there. You see one thing in a private meeting. You don't see what's going on in the classroom.
Any other comments, Mr. Tyner?
Yes, I would like to say that the difference in the child in the public school is applications. That's the difference. State law says that every child 6 years of age must attend school. Public schools got to take it. Charter school, there's an application. I disagree with you about the parents, the community. I want you to know that those children that's going to the charter school, their parents filled out an application. Those parents are involved. Those parents knew what they wanted their child to do and be. They set the pattern. So they go up to the charter school and say, because of your excellent record, because of what you can guarantee me that my child will be able to accomplish at this school, I want my child to come to this school. I want you to know that there are some parents in Northampton County who are really not concerned about. That's the difference. They're from the same community, but there's a different set of parents.
Makes you wonder what happened in days like when I went to school, where all the parents were.
Thank you. No, we do not have it. I just want you to understand that there is a difference when you go home and your parents there telling you to do homework and helping you to do homework. When you go home, there is no parent there. Again, remember, the charter school, like any other school, it's an application. For Northampton County School, the bus run down your road, you be standing at the road, you get on the bus and go in, you never see the parent. That's the difference. Thank you.
And don't you think that's a shame that we have to think outside the box and put that outside the box now?
Yes.
It used to be part of
Yes.
what was instilled in us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
And how do we get that back?
Yeah.
I challenge you, how do you get that back? As the chair of the Board of Education, or whoever's going to be in it.
We get that back by using the new, the last revision of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act that was put out by the Department of Education, Arnie Duncan, Secretary of Education. And in the last revision of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, they put aside federal dollars for parent involvement coordinators to work on building that relationship between parents, between communities, and between schools. We do what successful school programs have done to get parents involved in the education of their child. We see that it can be done. We know that it can be done. The only thing that needs to be done is to get future-minded people who haven't given up and who are not saying what we can't do and who get an I can do it attitude and move forward. That's what it takes. I don't like for people to be misinformed, so I do want to clarify something. I have a son who graduated from KIPP Pride High. Prior to his attendance at KIPP Pride High, he didn't go in the 5th grade. When we moved here from Arlington, Virginia, when I came back home, they allowed him to skip the 3rd grade because he tested into 6th grade. They allowed him to skip 5th grade, and we still could not find a challenging program for him at Gaston. It was at that time Gaston Elementary, Gaston Middle School. And so after much labor and much debate, he went to a school where he could be challenged. And even KIPP Pride High skipped him a grade. So he is in college and he's doing well. I am one, I believe, of 2 candidates who actually have children in the school system of Northampton County Schools. And so Mr. Roberts has 3 children now, 2 on the way, and I have 1. So, and I'm sorry, Ms. Edwards. She has a child, I believe your child
Has 3 in there.
graduated. And so all of my kids have attended Northampton County Schools. I'm a product of Northampton County Schools, and I too was allowed to go away to the North Carolina School of Science and Math in Durham, North Carolina, which was an absolute privilege. One other thing I would like to add is that if you get the parent involvement coordinator and you have to get politically minded and savvy board members who understand what it takes to go after those dollars and to grant them. And let me dispel one other myth. There is a myth that the charter school is taking dollars away from Northampton County Schools. Our board members, we know, we had withheld money. It wasn't by choice, but it was because of how the funding program works. We actually had to reimburse KIPP and GCP on last year a substantial amount of money for the last 3 years that we held their funds. It used to be that when a child left KIPP and went back to the public school in their area, like a Gaston or Conway, the money didn't follow them. But through working relationships with the board of directors, with KIPP now, we disperse the money to them in increments so that we don't have to give it to them all ahead of time when the student comes back. So I really believe people should be informed, and we've got to stop saying things that are not true. The charter school has a wonderful program, it's best practices, and we need to implement them in Northampton County schools.